Hi everybody, it's Sunday, May 7th, 2023, and yes, today is a normal day for a video upload. So, 2 days in a row, well, I had to make up for missing out on Friday. Just a reminder, everything is for entertainment purposes only, so please, everything is in the disclaimer box, and, yeah, I have my Venmo number in there, just account, whatever, info, so, hey, tip jar, yarn fund, whatever. Hey, it happens. I hate having to do this, but click the red boots down in the corner if you haven't subscribed already, and, you're supposed to click the bell, but half of the time it doesn't work, so just a reminder, on the odd days of the week, odd numbered days, a video with a chat stream will go up at roughly 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's Chicago time. And the second and fourth Saturdays of the month, I do a live chat where people can come on board and we can talk one-on-one, and you can show your face or just stay hidden behind your avatar. So, those are the second and fourth Saturdays of the month, and those happen at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. London time. So, hope that is accommodating to everybody. Now to get on to my notes, where I started taking these last Thursday. So, some may be a couple days out of date, but they're still relevant. I did say that we needed to keep our eyes out for things happening in the Pacific Theater and other countries, because stuff would be hitting the fan that would be pushed aside because of the Coronation. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is that in the country of Laos, or Laos, whatever you want to call it. It's a South Asian country that was prevalent during the Vietnam War. An anti-government activist was actually gunned down in a cafe. And now, I guess Amnesty International is getting on the case of the Laotian government. And so I would say we need to keep our eyes out watching what's going on there, because it has always been a hotbed ever since the Vietnam War and the fall of Saigon. Okay, now my favorite Swede. He's been talking about how so many people have remained willingly ignorant because of they believe everything that their own government tells them. So people are starting to realize that they shouldn't be trusting their mainstream medias. And he did talk about how the Swedish laws, because they basically didn't follow the WHO's protocols to the letter, that they actually had they didn't have a lockdown of any sort. Nobody was forced to stay inside, stay in their own homes. They actually had the lowest mortality rate, highest immunity, but still so many people across the world are scared or don't realize that they need to stand up and fight against this crazy tyranny that's still happening. And the WHO, World Health Organization, has finally declared that the pandemic, worldwide spread of the flu virus is over and done. So, all those people that are still walking around with masks, you can take them off now. Okay? The World Health Organization says it's safe to go back to living your life normally. So take off the masks and you'll be healthy, okay? And you don't have to keep getting those little what's in liquid put into your arms. So you don't need it any longer. All right? So spread that news, especially when you see people at the grocery store pharmacies. Okay, saying, hey, they don't need to wear the masks and they don't have to worry about the C and the number between 17 and 20. Alrighty? And now, even Sweden is now talking about leaving the EU because of all the crazy migrants they're still getting, and they're such a drain on the Swedish economy. And I'm gonna look for it, but in the United States, ABC Network, which is actually owned by Disney, did an interview with RFK Jr. But Disney's had their is the main power of ABC Network. They insisted on severely editing the interview with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Bobby Jr., because he does and has spoken the truth about the flu liquid and how it's basically become the new thalidomide. So yeah, Disney is censoring Bobby Jr. And it's just not right. Now, what do I have here? Okay, I'm going to go to these. I'll talk about the gruesome twosome pretty much last. And, okay. And yeah, I'll cover more on the coronation also with that. So, okay, the blue and yellow flag country, and the bear, they're stating that the blue and yellow flags, who their leader is the stupid guy in the green shirt, I don't think he owns a suit, is probably responsible for the self-propelled whatchamacallits that fly all over the place, which are remote controlled stuff. And he's like sending stuff to go boom boom over the Kremlin. Well, this green shirt guy, the Z guy, is forgetting that Vlad is old school KGB. So he knows all the tricks and stunts the green shirt dude is doing. And the green shirt dude is too young to realize. He doesn't realize how stupid he's becoming. He's a laughingstock. And like I said, I do watch a lot of European news, and one of the things is recently CPAC held a European meeting, and they're totally spoke with absolute disdain about globalism, and it was like people like Carrie Lake attended, and Victor O, I mean, he has always been pro-Donald. And Victor with a K, he doesn't, he follows life in the way he runs the country of Hungary. He listens to the people, and they follow to the beat of a completely different drummer. And they don't recognize JoJo as they kind of consider, from what I keep getting, they consider JoJo a squatter, an illegal squatter at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And actually, Donald should be living there and working. But Jojo and Cammy Poo and their group of friends are squatting there, and they need to be evicted as soon as possible. And at the CPAC thing, they're kind of explaining how harmful being a liberal and following their ideology. So the liberals are basically tearing down everybody's culture. I mean, if you go to different neighborhoods all over Chicago, you're gonna go, like, we have our Greek town, you have Ukrainian village, you've got Pilsen, certain Rogers Park, certain sections are heavily populated of people from different countries, and they have their own traditions from those countries. They have their own culture. And the liberals want to destroy somebody's cultural heritage. And by doing that, they're now claiming this alphabet soup group. Well, let's say you go to one of the neighborhoods that's primarily made up of people whose families lived in a section called the Pale of Settlement. Now, they have certain traditions that they follow, and they're they follow their traditions extremely strictly. So, yes, businesses up in those neighborhoods shut down at sundown on Friday and don't reopen till sundown on Saturday. And the alphabet soup groups are having kitten fits because they can't patronize those businesses. So basically, the alphabet soup groups, they're really wanting to force the world and different countries into their way of thinking. And if you don't think and abide by their demands, then you're in the wrong. They don't want to assimilate or respect the cultural heritage of other people. So it's getting really nasty now, and especially in Europe. From what I'm seeing, there's going to be a coalition of 4 countries that are banding together. It's Hungary, the country of Georgia, Poland, and Italy. They're starting to collaborate with those 4 countries in order to remind people of basic common sense and to not being forced into following the nonsense of the alphabet soup poop. And I have a feeling they're going to form a group together and leave the EU and have their own coalition of countries. Once that happens, I think more and more places are going to follow that example, because the EU is nothing but the Third Reich renamed, especially with Z in the green shirt. I mean, if he's going to get up and make speeches, especially congratulating KC3, you would think the guy would put on a shirt and tie. Even Henry, who walks around in grubby jeans, the same moldy gray polo shirt, at least he got into a suit for the coronation, but the Z guy is still wearing his green top, his green shirt. It's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, the EU is basically They're trash talking Victor with a K. And they are trying to place sanctions on countries that don't follow the EU mandates to the letter. Because Hungary is one of the few countries that has not been overrun by the multitudes of military-age Muslim migrants. These people are being subsidized by nasty people, like nasty communist people, socialist governments, because they want to destroy our way of life. And Victor again is saying that if Donald had been allowed to keep his tenancy at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, none of this nonsense would have happened. And that is something that a lot of other people agree with and believe, but they're fearful of saying so because they'll be attacked. I was attacked for speaking my truth at a Back the Blue rally, and a group of they belong to a three-letter group, like Barney Loves Mushrooms. Yeah, I told a kid, you want socialism so bad, so be an exchange student down in Venezuela and come back. Because I said that to a high school kid with the Barney Loves Mushrooms group, they decided to dox me. This is a high school student, and then she was bragging she has a 4.0 GPA. Yeah, all she does is know how to regurgitate the questions, the answers to the tests that she's been programmed to answer. So, for some stuff that's kind of happening here in Illinois, I'm laughing. Yeah, we've got this Title 42 stuff that is making it kind of a little bit tougher. Well, when Donald was around, it was really tough for these idiots to walk across way through the Rio Grande. But with JoJo around, it's like there's people on this side of the north of the border throwing them life preservers so they don't drown, so they can make it to our side, to the North Bank, safely. Now, Texas is just being overrun. And back a while ago, several big cities north of the Mason-Dixon line declared themselves as sanctuary cities, so if people were here illegally, they could come and stay and be taken care of. Like New York and Chicago. Well, so Texas, instead of having to maintain the extreme financial burden of looking after these people who waded through the Rio Grande, they're sending them to, they're asking these people, where would you like to go? And many of them are saying, like, New York, Chicago. Well, Lori Beetlejuice Lightfoot is now whining and crying, saying, we don't have any of the government funding needed to take care of these migrants, so Texas stopped sending them. No. The people that cross the Rio Grande want to come here. And initially, when the first groups came, a few of the two-star hotel groups were willing to house the border crossers in their hotels in suburban Cook County. Well, I guess they noticed that their hotels, the damage that had happened, is that number to repair the damage is much higher than what they were getting from the government to house these people. So now the local hotel chains have said, no, we will no longer house the border crossers that come to Chicago. In fact, since Chicago is the sanctuary city, why are you sending them to the suburbs? And when they first came, I went down to a shopping center that was near one of these hotels. And because there was a store there that had something that I needed to pick up. I myself, when I was in the store, I was being followed by two men, and they were speaking a dialect of Arabic that I understood. For safety reasons, and I want to keep my channel, I can't say what they were saying about me. But I did go up to the service desk of the store, and I said, you know, these guys have been like following me around and making comments. The store manager said we can't do anything, even though we try to arrest them. The government is basically giving them diplomatic immunity. Well, I've heard through the grapevine that that hotel has kicked them out and sent them back into the city of Chicago. And now the city of Chicago is having fits because it hasn't gotten its government funding to take care of these people. Now they're literally spending the nights in the precinct houses of the Chicago Police Department. Well, at least if they try some shenanigans, they're in the right place. But Lori Beetlejuice Lightfoot is still screaming, where's our government funding? Well, she was told back in 2020 that Chicago has to take one for the DNC donkey team. And this includes having to be financially responsible for the people that went through the Rio Grande. And the new incoming mayor that's going to be sworn in about a week or so, he's starting to get kitten fits because he realizes what a disaster he's walking himself into. But Beetlejuice was told back in 2020 that Chicago has to take one for the team, and they're being rewarded with hosting the Donkey Convention in 24. August of 24, the Donkey Convention will be here. Not good. And on top of it, there was this guy Mikey who was like Speaker of the Illinois House, Illinois General Assembly for decades. And finally, it's 4 people have been proven guilty because they were giving Mikey and his buddies money so they could have a lockdown control on what our electric costs are. Well, Mikey's the next one to go down. And even with this happening, it's the state that I live in, we're going to be in for some tough times. Because we're going to have to make up for the shortfall that the government, that FEMA hasn't kicked in to pay for all these border crossers that have come up into Illinois. And we are going to start experiencing a lot of the same things that happened in England with the grooming gangs. Because, yeah, these guys, they know how to speak English. And a lot of them are pretty nice looking. And they don't show their age very well. They're actually, some of them are a lot older than what they say they are. So there are going to be women who fall for their lines, and especially young girls. So we need to start watching out for the young women. And because there will be... These men don't understand the word no. The word no to them has no meaning. They don't understand it. If you say love with your palm of your hand down, shaking la, 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 that is no in Arabic. Okay? Women, if you start being touched inappropriately by men who follow that faith, raise your right hand up with your palm down and start going la, la, la. That is no in Arabic. And if you bop them in the nose and something starts dripping out, that's even better. We need to really, really keep our young girls safe. Now, let me go back. For those of you who have been waiting for this, Henry and Rachel stuff. Yeah, we know Donald went to check out his property in Scotland. And while he was up there and during his stay over here, he called Rachel out on her disrespectful treatment of QE2, which she couldn't make a comment back on because it would backfire on her big time. And we all know that Scooby Dope, the one American TV station that he prefers to be interviewed by, is ABC, which is owned by Disney. And we all know that Disney is in hot water because in Florida, at their big attraction, initially back in the 1960s when the property was purchased by Walt Disney, by old Walt himself, he cut a deal with Florida that their purchase, the property owned by the Mouse Company, the Mouse Corporation, could basically be its own little microstate where it didn't have to follow the Constitution and the laws of Florida. It was like the District of Columbia. That area that's owned by the Disney Corp, years ago, it was given its own basic governmental status. Well, now the governor of Florida has no more and is revoking the Mouse Corporation's separate identity. So now they're actually going to have to start following Florida law. And the mouse is really upset. And so I know that people, if you do go on to any of the mouse property, be it in Florida, California, even here in Chicago, they own a building on State Street that they broadcast their local ABC station out of. If you aren't following the ideology of the mouse, not so nice things can happen to you. So they're getting very upset. Now, Henry, he bopped in. He got in on Friday morning, spent the night, went to the Coronation. He was in the UK here just long enough to show his face. And he did take the shuttle bus. So he must have been at Buckingham Palace for something, at Buck House, for something, because he evidently got out of the same vehicle as the Tyndalls and the York family. And yeah, he was talking to his cousin's husbands, Jack and Eduardo, and he was kind of laughing at everything. He was kind of like acting like good old Harry. But as time went on during the ceremony, I noticed his demeanor became more and more sullen, depressed, because he realized in a short time I have to go back to California. It's almost like he didn't want to, but he was under orders that he had to, or somebody would be saying some really, really horrible things and would really make his life miserable. I mean, I think she bartered a deal with Dior to get him a new suit. And of course, he looked nice in it because it was well tailored. Unfortunately, she doesn't know what a tailor is or a seamstress. But then she returns everything she wears. She wears it once, then sends it back to the designer, where Henry actually had the suit tailored to fit. So he'll be keeping it. He may have to pay for it, though. But I was laughing because, of course, he was sitting behind Princess Anne. And he was red-feathered. So that's kind of unusual. I thought it was kind of funny, but he was having to be careful about what he said, because I have a feeling that the people that were sitting on either side and behind him, I think they were possibly discreetly wearing recording devices just in case Henry was wearing one, so they would be able to say, no, this is the accuracy, this is what really was said. And as soon as he left the Abbey, he did jump in a car and race back to Heathrow Airport. So hey, stuff happens. Now, things that popped up now. I guess there is a actress who, on GB News, her name is Ajoa Andon, and she is an actress in the Netflix series Bridgerton, and Bridgerton, and the other one is Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. And she was also the narrator for the program for ITV's The Real Crown. She was the narrator. Now, she totally is complaining because at the balcony appearance, the royal family is too white. Hey, woman, I think you just dug yourself into a hole. And Shonda Rhimes, if you don't do something to set this chickie poo straight, I mean, boot her off your program, Bridgerton, I think people need to now boycott that program on Netflix. They need to boycott the ITV program, The Real Crown. And here in America, we should start boycotting Grey's Anatomy and her other programming until she calls out this vile, vile actress. It's ridiculous. People are so complacent in allowing people of a darker complexion to call others racist. But if we call them out on their misbehavior and their rudeness, we're the bad people, not them. They can call people whatever they want. But if somebody like me corrects them, we're damned to hell and doxed to hell and back. So we need to start fighting back, people, especially about loudmouths like this woman, Adjoa Andon. Whatever she is in, don't watch, boycott it. Send emails to Netflix. Send emails to Shondaland, the production company, ITV. If she is going to be this rude and this disrespectful to the British royal family, she has no right to be her affiliation with the Royal Shakespeare and other theater companies that are subsidized by the royal family. She needs to be pulled away and said bye-bye. Yeah. Now, another really nice thing, an MP, and we all were watching and wondering who the lady was holding the sword through the entire coronation, who was wearing that beautiful green dress. I mean, it did remind me of the black dress that Meghan wore. I mean, Meghan looked kind of crummy in it. But this green dress and how they had the gold applique leaves. And I paid attention when you saw her walking. You know, there were heavy spotlights in the Abbey. When you saw her walking, you could tell that her shoes were gold and were made out of a sparkly fabric, which really looked cool. I mean, a little glitz. And that was MP Penny Mordaunt. And she is actually the Lord President of the Council. Basically, she's chairman of the Privy Council, so she was given that wonderful honor of holding the King's sword throughout the coronation and actually to lead him out of the Abbey. I mean, she was right in front of Charles. So she was very pride of place, and she was very lucky and did the job fantastic. I mean, such an honor to be given that. Now, of course, now the fashion police have been out, and Lady Louise, the daughter of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, was named the best dressed royal of the younger set. And she was in a floral print dress, and it was basically a lilac color, lilac blue, and with a matching hat, and she was just absolutely stunning. Now, she still goes by Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor, but she is another one who she really admired her grandfather, Prince Philip. And she's took up carriage driving just like her grandpa. So I keep getting the images that once she's going to stay Lady Louise while she finishes college. She's up at St. Andrews, just like her cousin, William. Lady Louise will then assume the title of Princess Louise of Edinburgh, and following her aunt Anne, the Princess Royal, in being a patron of as many charities as she can put into her schedule. So that's what I'm going to be seeing for her future. She will be following what her Aunt Anne has been doing. She can keep her privacy, Lady Louise, through college, and when she graduates, she will be Princess Louise of Edinburgh, and she will be taking on many, many patronages because right now they're short-staffed. I mean, QE2 and Prince Philip had close to 1,000 patronages. And sorry, but Chuck and Camilla, they're going to be busy being king and queen. So who's going to pick up the slack? It's got to be the younger generation. I can see modernizing and slim down in some of the expenditures, but you can't shortchange on staff. You need the people to be doing this stuff. And yes, we all noticed for a short period, little Louis disappeared. He's 5 years old. I heard through my grapevine that there was a certain signal, and one of the people that, when you sometimes in the camera shot, you could see that the screen that was behind Charles and Camilla, there were some people standing around like equerries. Yeah, I guess Prince Louis needed to go visit the potty. So it was done very discreetly. Latest thing I heard now is that we did see the people dressed up in yellow with the signs. Basically the protesters. Now, while the high majority of people out on the streets were pro-monarchy and out there having a huge sleepover overnight block party, there were some protesters that kind of had to be rescued by the Met Police because they were kind of evidently they ticked off somebody and they turned into a bloody pulp. So they needed to be picked up by the Met and to go get medical help. And plus, those that didn't end up as a bloody pulp, there was over 50 arrests. So it's like, yeah. And now, while everybody was still focused on KC3, some stuff that did happen and was in the news. In India, in the northeast state of Manipur, different tribes have been going at it. It's basically extremely ethnic tribal violence, and now the Indian government is having to send troops in to stop this violence because it's like getting as bad as some Sudan, because different groups of India and of citizens of India, I mean, it's a caste system there still. And if the Indian government doesn't send in, and they don't do, it's going to end up, country of India could end up looking like Sudan. Yes, a few other things. People in Canada, yeah, there's wildfires going all through Alberta. And that's a environmental hazard. And that's been hidden off the news by KC3. Now, because Jeddah is right across the Red Sea from Port Sudan, the Saudis have now stepped in. And in Jeddah, the Saudis are now being the mediators between the two warring tribal warlords who are trying to rule the country of Sudan. So now the Saudis have stepped in. And honestly, you don't want to piss off the Saudi Arabian government. You see, they don't even have to send a ship out. All they have to do is go to their beach, and they can send something across through the air right into Sudan to go boom! And they already have the capability. And they already have things stationed. So the Saudi government is now telling these Sudanese tribal warlords to get their act together. And I would say give it about 6 weeks, and things will be quiet and their peace will reign in the Sudan, because they will be living on, the government will be living under the fear that if they start this nonsense again, things will go boom. Then I feel sorry for the people in Allen, Texas. They just went to the outlet mall to do some whatever, some shopping, and something happened. And don't worry, the Texas Rangers will get down to the bottom of it. And the last thing that I had, and I'm going to wrap this up, is that MP Lucy Fraser, she's the cultural secretary. Listen carefully to the GB News interview, because she let it slip that the UK does consider themselves at war alongside the blue and yellow country. This little slip is going to cause big, big, big problems, because basically she admitted now everybody affiliated with the UK as an ally may be dragged into this. Her little slip of the tongue may have just kicked off the spark for WW3. Okay, people, this is a super, super long video. Just want to remind you, I will be back talking with you on Tuesday, the 9th, and this upcoming Saturday, what is it, the 13th? I will be doing a live chat. So talk with you on Tuesday. Have a great one, everyone.